Trip to San Antonio. The auditorium was filled with loud chaos and immaturity. My middle school was not the best, yet they do have a tradition of selecting the best performing student for the San Antonio trip. If my name was ever called, I would perish, I said, being the 10th person in La La Land. Out of these 20 students, only 40 will be chosen. Butterflies were in my stomach, yet there was one side of me with excitement and anxiety. As more students' names were called, the less chance I had of being chosen. Vanessa was the first person from my friend group to be picked, very outgoing and straightforward. She can be quiet and too outside, but surprisingly bold and extra in our friend group. A fun fact, she had everyone Instagrams from our grade level, friendly yet moody, basically the social butterfly of our group. Then Jacqueline went second. She, on the other hand, was boy crazy. She liked it every guy that ended up crossing paths with her. Food was the second best thing she liked. It would make her eyes shine like the star. She had a very soft voice but a freaky personality. I usually don't hang out with the pod, but bobbing to K-pop song has been the best memory. Hazel soon followed. I'm not surprised. She had been my friend since grade school. Hazel unexpectedly was the most intelligent friend I had. She had a very cheeky smile and two-sided personality. She can be a bit weird and expressionless sometimes as she laughs in serious situations and forgets to smile when she's in space daydreaming. She can be quite low-tempered, but her innocence melts my heart. Even to this day, we are still close and we keep in touch video chatting. Technically, she's a wise owl. At that point, everyone's name was called. I was losing hope as the last person name was called. I guess this is it, I whispered softly to myself. The entertainment on stage continued, and I was gloomy the whole time. Suddenly, Miss Noodle, my math teacher, came rushing to the auditorium with some white items in her hand. There was more letter. There was more letters with more names. If that was Christmas, this would be the best present. I got hyped up with excitement as my name was finally called. I got to stand proudly together with my friends and 36 students on the stage. 2 days later, we had a meeting on the information about the trip with our parents. Miss Webster, another seventh grade math teacher, was our trip chaperone and guide for the trip. She gave us lists of things and items we needed for the 4 day trip. Later on at night, I decided to sleep at Hazel House. Honestly, we were so excited that night overthinking our trip together we couldn't sleep. 6 o'clock in the morning, Jacqueline Big Brother dropped us off at school. Hazel and I had such a wide smile with eye bags on our pretty, not so pretty face. We entered the main school building and waited for Vanessa. She came 10 minutes after us and she came 10 minutes after us with her sister. When all the students were gathered together, a big traveling bus came. Hazel and I sat together, we ate snacks we bought, and then listened to music and fell asleep all the way to Austin, the capital of Texas. When we got there, we saw this big white building, the Capitol. It was breathtaking. There were many other students from other schools, and they also seemed to be visiting. Our group got off the bus, and then we were split into four groups for a scavenger hunt. We wandered around to find clues and detail. Almost halfway through the scavenger hunt, we took a small break. When we arrived at the Alamo, it was crowded with people waiting in line. I know it is remarkable for the battle that took place there a long time ago from history class. A few minutes later, it was our turn to go inside the Alamo. It was not as trying as I imagined it to be. We were not allowed to touch anything or capture a picture, which ruined my mood. And to make matter worse, I lost my friends. I tried searching for them, but no luck. Fortunately, I encountered Lily, a classmate of mine since sixth grade, near the koi fish and promptly found she was also separated from her groups. We decided to look around together. 30 minutes later, Miss Webster called for us to leave. I got reunited with friends, and we started to chat along the way. The whole group followed Miss Webster and Miss Noodle across the street, and we entered a huge mall. Everything inside was so pleasantly beautiful with many different stores inside, and the structure of the mall was just amazing. Once we made it down the cafeteria, we went straight outside. I was confused at first, then realized there was a big boat in there and the ground was filled with water. I was shaking. I noticed a lemon tree across from me and I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was trying to pluck it even though everything looked like a dream. I unexpectedly asked Hazel to pull my cheeks to double check it was real. There was a line to get on the boat, but only a few people, so it was way faster than I thought. When it when it was at last our turn to ride the boat, Hazel suddenly felt nauseous, so she had to stay behind with one of our teachers. It was tragic she missed out on the fun. I sat next to Vanessa and Jacqueline in the back. As the boat was moving, I felt like I was gonna fall over. As the boat continued to move, I saw a lot of announcing things. A colorful umbrella all around the place. It looked like it was creating a message, and a big building was so tall it could even be the Capitol Tower. I came across a fence of logs. Our tour guide explained it was meant for people who want to cherish their love forever by locking it up. While returning to the cafeteria, we saw a guy dancing and was showing off his move. It was quite satisfying. When we went back, I saw Hazel with a smile on her face and she was waving to us. I'm delighted she was okay. All of us went inside the cafeteria to eat. Miss Webster handed a $10 bill to each one of us to spend. Jacqueline and Vanessa got Taco Bell while Hazel and I were unsure of what we wanted. We both started looking at what they offer and then 10 minutes of deciding we both got Chinese sweet and sour chicken with noodle and rice. After we had after we had gotten our food, we went to sit down and eat while Jacqueline and Vanessa went to the restroom. The teacher let us explore the mall for 30 minutes before we head out. The four of us went together and took silly pictures and bought snacks and other things. It was getting late, so we hopped on the bus, then traveled to the hotel. Jury Inn and Suits were where we stayed for 2 days. When we arrived at the hotel, everyone was exhausted from walking. We got our luggage from under the bus and headed headed inside. The hotel was remarkably clean and neat. While waiting for our room number, I saw an old woman walking down the hall, then disappearing in a second, but I shrugged it off. We got our room numbers and headed towards the elevator. When we arrived, the first thing we saw were two beds. It was so fluffy and soft, all of us just landed in bed. We unpacked our luggage and chatted. Jacqueline and Vanessa were busy playing a game. Hazel and I shared a turn taking shower. When I got out of the shower and was blow drying my hair, I started to puke in the restroom from all the chicken I ate, not wanting to waste money. That was not a pretty sight to see. It was a mess, but my supportive friends helped me clean up. It was almost past midnight, so we decided to sleep, judging we had a long day ahead of us. Hazel and I slept in the first bed together, where Vanessa and Jacqueline slept in the second. Waking up early was not that pleasant. Our body was hurting from yesterday. We managed to get ourselves out of bed and got ready to head downstairs for breakfast. Basically, almost half of the students were already there chatting and eating, including some of the teachers. We said our greeting we said our greetings to the teachers. The food was served there was incredible. It looked very appetizing. We got our food and sat down at a table. Everyone was starting to finish up their breakfast, and we soon headed to it was really difficult because of how tiny it was compared to our bus. The driver dropped us off at the main entrance, and the first noticeable thing in the middle was a big old willow tree. When I tell you big, I mean big. The tour drive, the tour guide welcomed us and we greeted her back. We saw so many old buildings and broken down houses. For a second, I felt like we were living in the ancient time. The whole park was filled with trees and many churches. I'm thinking Catholic people lived there a long time ago. The tour ended more quickly than I thought. At that point, all of us were starving, so we went back to the same mall we had been to yesterday. We finally had food down our belly and everyone looked happy. Miss Webster was giving us a chance to explore the mall one last time before we leave. Most of the most of the girls went to the K-pop store. It was very rare to see one in real life, so we tagged along. The store was filled with popular K-pop bands, mostly BTS. At that at that moment, I was in paradise, but it was really expensive, so I just bought stickers. The four of us bought Chinese fans just in case we meet them when it was hot. While walking down the mall, I noticed a little toy shop and I was hooked on the cute little two dolls. I was having second doubt if I really wanted it, so I asked Hazel. She had no comment to stop me from buying. In the end, I bought it, but as soon as we got on the bus, I regret buying it. I keep complaining to Hazel's and my classmate all through the bus ride. They were laughing at me, which made me more pissed. That was the point when I really wanted to go back and pass. Halfway through the ride, I calmed down and I fell asleep. Our location was a natural bridge cabin. We arrived in a very foresty type of environment. The cave looked very small from the entrance, but up close it was bigger than I thought. The cave was underground 130, what no, it's 180 feet below the ground. We walked in a single file line, not wanting to touch anything for our own safety. The cabin looked very mushy and gooey inside. The top of the ceiling looked like crystal dripping down, but I later found out it was flowstone and soda straw. The path was very uncomfortable with many bumpy roads and minerals. Deep down, the cabin was hotter than I expected to be, so I used my fan I bought in the mall. It was very useful. Our group received a hidden passage tour in which there was a big water in one of the surprising spots. The exit was uphill and long. My feet started to hurt and my throat was dry. Everyone was complaining of being tired, so was I. We stopped at a gift shop and everything was very Texas themed. I did not buy anything knowing I'm gonna regret it again and annoy my friends. We headed towards the bus and they provide us with food and water. We went back to the hotel for the last time. This time, Sophia, a classmate of ours, wanted to hang out with us in our room. She stayed in another room beside us. We went back and forth between our rooms. It was fun being silly with them. Sophia took pictures of us and we were acting even on a funny little runway. Sophia could not hold her laughter while recording us, making us all laugh along with her. I bet our room was the loudest, even Miss Wester warned us. Soon it was time for all the students' rooms to be locked, so sadly Sophia had to leave. The next day we the next day we would be going to SeaWorld. The four of us were excited about going for the first time. We immediately packed the clothes we needed for the SeaWorld in case we got wet. Getting sleep was no problem, judging from all the walking we did today. In the morning, we were woken up by Sophia knocking on the door. I had to drag my body out of bed. Jacqueline already woke up and was opening the door for Sophia. Hazel and Vanessa was still sleeping until Sophia started yelling in her loud voice. Both of them looked annoyed, but at least they were awake. I met I made the bed to look like what it looked like before and cleaned up. We got ready and with our luggage and waited in the hallway for Sophia's roommates to be done. Jacqueline noticed a boy our age across the hallway. She literally couldn't stop talking about him. All of us couldn't our laughter. When our small group was headed towards the elevator, we encouraged Jacqueline to talk to him, but sadly he left before she could even speak. This time, everyone was enjoying their breakfast except for us. Mr. Tony was making waffle with different colors, and it looked so good. I asked Hazel to come with me to also make them. He helped us with the instruction, and I was really satisfied with what I made. It tasted delicious. Even Hazel became starstruck. All the students put the luggage in the bus and went inside ready to go to SeaWorld. The trip took longer than expected, almost 1 hour and a half. From the highway, I could see many water slides and roller coaster popping out far away. The SeaWorld had the biggest number of people crowding in line to the entrance. That was crazy. We waited for 25 minutes to get to the entrance, but there was another entrance which took 30 minutes. The heat was making me sweat. Finally, we entered the park and they took our tickets and gave us a blue bracelet. Miss Webster gave us a free meal ticket and told us to meet her at the entrance in 3 hours. I had a spark in my eye. The park was huge and big. I grabbed the map of the whole park and was amazed at all the fun rides they had. The four of us wanted to go to the big water slide first because literally we were dying from the heat. We had to walk we had to walk all across the back of the slide to find the line. While in the line, many of other of our groups and students were also there. When it was our turn, I was scared. The four of us sat in the front seat, making me more scared. I wanted to leave, but they were getting ready to send us off. I double crossed my hands into Hazel's and Jacqueline's handle while both of them put theirs on mine. The boat went really fast down the water. I felt tears were down my face. It ended fast. After that, I actually enjoyed it. We rode the slide 3 times or more. Then we watched as the water splashed on our face as the boat slid down. Vanessa, Sophia, me, and our other classmate went right to write more rides. Well, Hazel and Jacqueline were hungry, so they went to the opposite way to eat food. The path was very long, but they had amazing rides on that side. The more we walked, the better side of the park I witnessed. Sophia dragged all of us to another boat ride. I thought the line was not that bad, but as soon as the line was not moving at all for 20 minutes, I suggested to them that we should go to another one, but Sophia was desperate. I looked into Vanessa's eyes and she just nodded. I signed and waited with the others. The line behind was increasing more than the people in the front was decreasing. More time passed, but we were barely moving. One of the students in our group spotted us and yelled saying, "We only have 1 hour left." By the time I was getting impatient, I could also notice Vanessa was tired, so were the others. Our turn finally came after 30 minutes in line. When we got on the ride, it was not worth as much as 15 minutes waiting in line. It was short and quick. Everyone pretty much regret getting on the line except Sophia. We walked back to the first ride. Sophia and I wanted to ride the snake roller coaster, so we went running, leaving our little group behind. The snake roller coaster was the scariest ride I have ever ridden in my life. In the beginning it was fine, but as soon as it went up and down fast, I felt my soul leave my body several times. Vanessa did not react emotionless. Our stomachs our stomach were growling, so we went to get some pizza. When we left the store, I saw Jacqueline spotted us and told us we need to return back fast. Both of us panicked and we ran as fast as we could. Miss Webster kind of looked mad because we were the only one waiting in line. We nervously laughed. Hazel had a big red octopus around her arm about 3 inches. I was so jealous I wanted one. Everyone headed towards the bus and the teacher handed out drinks. Our last destination before we went home was the famous Tower of America. The whole scenery was beautiful. They had so many waterfalls and a bunch of flowers and a little bridge. All of us wandered around and explored the area. Groups of people were dancing outside underneath a big wing on display. Vanessa standing between wind the giant wind statue posing for a picture. We snapped a few and headed towards the building. The tour guide took us to a movie theater to watch a trailer for The Tower of America. We had 3D glass on, and the effect they had made me feel like I was actually there. It was pretty fun and scary. After that, we got on the elevator that was 45-story high. It was so high up, it kind of made me dizzy. When we arrived at the top, it was so windy and cold. The glass was tilted so it made it seem like I was falling. I could see everything from there. It was amazing. We stayed there for 20 minutes until we had to leave. While exiting the building, I took one last selfie with Vanessa. On the road, Hazel and I chatted all through the way until we fell asleep. It was a great experience and an awesome memory that will last forever in my heart. If I were given a second chance to experience it again, I would.